Hello, I'm Chris Mills Bowling,
And I'm Asana Pollen.
and this is our video detailing our game, Artificial Selection. Artificial Selection is a top-down shooter built for fast-paced bullet hell. Users are challenged to develop strategies to survive the onslaught of robot waves. Whether this is through clever use of elements or simply blowing them up, a player is forced to quickly learn their environment to succeed. This is a custom map we will be using to detail the interactions seen in Artificial Selection. In the next room, you can see a line of explosive barrels. When we shoot these barrels, they will explode, damaging both the environment and the enemies in the cells. As you can see, they died. Similarly, this explosive barrel, when shot, will explode, catching surrounding entities on fire. However, fortunately, this is easily countered with a water puddle. The other green barrel is filled with goo, and is countered by avoiding it. Moving on, we have here an electric barrel, surrounded by two metal barrels and a puddle, all of which conduct electricity. Firing at a barrel in a situation like this will cause electricity to arc between all three entities. As you have seen previously, there are many guns to utilize in Artificial Selection. However, there is an ability system which can be mutated similarly. For example, the ability just displayed can be mutated to something of a similar property. The ability that was mutated gained a decoy trait that creates a decoy which generates the previous ability on its death. If we attempt to mutate again, it is likely that we will get an ability with an inherited trait from the previous. In this case, we received a basic decoy with no modifications, but it is possible to mutate something completely different. A perfect example of this is seen here, when we mutate a smokescreen, which has no relation to the previous mutations. Well, my time is done, but Masana Pollen will now talk to you about the basic principles of enemy AI evolution.
From the start, Artificial Selection was created with the concept of enemies that learn how to counter your strategy. In fact, the name Artificial Selection comes from the biological idea of evolution through natural selection. According to biology, creatures with the best traits tend to survive longer and reproduce to create more creatures with those same traits. This game takes that concept and applies it to video game artificial intelligence. When enemies first appear, they have random behaviors, some of which are not very smart. In later waves, the enemies that appear are based on the enemies that gave you the most trouble earlier, meaning that the game will get harder and harder not through simple manipulation of numbers, but by learning how to beat your strategy. Artificial Selection also takes this a step further by applying evolutionary techniques to how the weapons are generated. The weapons each enemy uses will also mutate along with the enemy, meaning that only good combinations of enemy behavior and weapons will be chosen. This customizability and weapons is also available to the player, who can choose to mutate their weapons to try to, in a sense, evolve faster than the enemies do.
Up till now, we've solely insinuated the marketing value of Artificial Selection, but now it's time to be explicit. Artificial Selection will sell to a wider audience due to its accommodating playstyle and dynamic gameplay. In addition, Artificial Selection has multiple game modes and objectives, and will continue developing them into the future. Artificial Selection also garners huge replayability due to its constantly changing enemies and its ability to create your own worlds as you please. Most notably, the physics fun derived from Artificial Selection will attract not only a wider age bracket, but a greater percentage of both genders. So that is our game, Artificial Selection, and we hope you enjoy.